What's the day today? Wednesday. So we're back at Arden, which is one of my favourite places. Just because Michael, the owner, has just aced everything really. It's mad what he's done. Brilliant, you know, he's a grafter and a builder and does everything. And like this lake is an example. Supplied a lot of plants here. And this is what we keep on about. This is only members now, it used to be day ticket. Michael lives on site with his family, so he didn't want loads of people here, so it's just members only. It's lovely. We manage the lakes and the fish stocks. This one had KHV years ago, long time ago. It was just too many fish, and it wasn't the previous owner's fault, it was the one before that. They just bunged tons of the wrong sort of fish and too many and stuff. So. And we took half of them out a few years ago when they looked tatty and horrible. And by taking half of them out, which the guy who was organising the matches was a bit against, and luckily Michael had faith because we'd helped him out, and we sort of said, look, unfortunately, they're dying anyway, they were knackered. So instead of stocking when you have KHV or problems like that, see plants everywhere, look, just plants. On the island, that was hard clay, it's hard to plant on there, but now it's all fringed, and it's amazing. This is what you want. Margins full of plants. It's planted obviously tons of trees which will grow up back here, perfect, back there, and then plants all the way around. And this is how you should have your waters, especially little intricate waters like this, 2-3 acres. You cannot go wrong planting them up. So many benefits. And I know I keep banging on about it, but it's a pleasure when people take it on board because the benefits are huge. So yeah, always a pleasure coming back here. There's loads of different lakes, loads of different fish. So yeah, it's always exciting because you see progress and development, and the fish stocks get better. There's not just carp here, there's big roach and bream and perch and all sorts across the lakes, but it's just nice to see people actually getting on and doing stuff, and a lot more green, a lot less brown, if you know what I mean. It's fantastic. So we're doing this lake today and then one down there, just cropping out fry and bits and pieces just to keep on top of it, because they're very productive shallow clay lakes here, and to keep the fishing good. And the fishing has kept improving every year. Haven't bought any fish at all, just moved fish around the site, so it's very safe and very good. Just kept it simple. And I'll say these swims were all, it used to be day ticket. There used to be no plants around the island. There used to be no plants around either of these. First time I came down here, these were just barren. No plants, nothing, barren, horrible, too many fish dying. It's the same sort of scenario. And now, it's a credit to Michael, what he's done here and allowed us to help with. Because, yeah, and this is the winter, you know, in the summer they look amazing. So yeah, we'll see what we catch. So it's lovely going from a 60-acre lake, or 58 or whatever it was, to these. It's lovely, nice change, and we're local. And lakes like this, you can just shoot 200 metres. This is a very fine mesh net all around this lake. Splash the margins as you go, where the little fish hide. And then, always important with islands, if you're shooting nets around islands, you can't just go right close and just expect it to fish. You've got to walk it round and kick the leads off the shelf of the island and splash the margins as you go. Otherwise, islands make it the net will ride up if you're not careful. It's all about angles really, but anyway. So yeah, split it in half, shoot the nets, then we're going to land one up this end, one down the other end, show you what we catch and grade some fish. It's basically on here, it's just because, like I say, these are shallow, really productive lakes with the plants, a little bit of supplementary feeding, which, you know, people sort of have different opinions about, but my argument's always been, if you've got a decent head of healthy fish in your lake and you're managing the environment that they're in, i.e. plants and trees and water quality, you know, adding chalk when necessary if required, and being sensible with your fish stocks, then supplementary food massively helps. Obviously, if you've got less fish, or if the fish is stressed or they're not happy and they're not eating the food, then yeah, it can become a problem if you're using high oil, sort of fast food pellets as I call them these days. But you know, everything has its place, and we just keep going and doing what we're doing and what we preach because it works. And these are places that are testament to that. It's all about getting the fishing improving, spending money when you need to, and not wasting it when you don't need to. So yeah, we do like coming back to places like this, don't we, Matthew? These fish have really turned around. It used to be heavily match fished. The fish were really emaciated. These are old fish, they're not young. That'll do. They're looking better all the time. Like I say, a lot of fish in here. It's real simple little easy dads and lads type fishing, ideal. And all we're going to do here is take a few of the silvers out, put them in another pond, and cut them really big, move them along, and then do the other side. Yeah, it's a good lot of fish in there. Full of solid carp, roach. A lot of people moan about, oh, there's carp everywhere, and what about the silvers? The reality of that is, nowadays, bloody hard, especially on unfenced and waters, club stuffer, because there's hardly anyone down at these club waters a lot of the winter. So they get plundered and everyone moans about, oh, I saw carp everywhere, but because carp fishing is so popular, there's more money involved, so people can afford fences in general and things like that. But wherever we go, we want good quality silvers, so what we do is grade out better quality like this from tinies, which everyone's got tons of these in small lakes, you know, and then just, it looks like it's never a waste of time, because these, what we want is people to be catching big roach and big bream, and keep the cormorants off. And you can tip the favour in the balance of these bigger fish, but not while all those are in there. See how big the eyes are on them, look. Massive. So yeah, little things like this. And like I say, the lake's not very big. If you remove a couple of bins of these out of each side, because there's a lot of carp in here, and then it gives you more respite in the summer with oxygen levels and stuff. These are just going into a little pond down there, and the cormorants probably will eat them, but we can't help that, that's nature. And then the quality goes back. And it works really, really well. Pretty simple. And if you're still buying fish in 2024, when you've got tons already and it's not fishing, then you really need to learn a few basics. So that's one side done for another year. We only do these lakes up here every couple of years. Just keep on top of them. There's a lot of lakes here. It's a membership, private membership really. He only lives on site, doesn't want hundreds of people here, which makes it lovely. He's got lovely plans for holiday lets. There's a shepherd's hut over there, beautiful shepherd's hut over the far side, absolutely gorgeous in the summer. You can come and stay in that, which is delightful. It's so niche, it's like really kitted out with pucker. And then he's got plans for lovely log cabins. So yeah, it sort of keeps developing nicely. It's going to become a real premier sort of exclusive holiday venue in years to come. So it's just nice to be involved helping with the fish stocks. It's the same with the lake down there. There was no plants and the banks were falling apart. When you've got clay, it's actually really easy to sort out, but not enough people do it. And massive overflow pipes in here. That was one good thing they did. I always saw people who piss around with 3-4 inch overflows. There's 12-inch overflow pipe through there. But yeah, on that one, again, there was no plants. You've got to remember it's January now, so it doesn't look its best. But these whole banks were exposed. All the way around was exposed. And you can imagine where you've got retaining walls, they desperately need plants. People go, oh, we'll put shuttering in, we'll put backfill, we'll put the, oh yeah, all right. Metal. If you put metal along there, wood, you're missing out on all that potential planting you can do. Which to me makes no sense. Plus it looks terrible. And a lot of the time doesn't work. Unless you get, oh, it's just a proper serious bit of metal and all that, and it looks rubbish. If you protect it with plants, you can have a look back. That's exactly what I've done here. We supplied a lot of the plants. That was the initial one, the old owner. We supplied him a few thousand iris. So the whole of these lakes are fringed with plants. And again, once it's done, alright, it's a bit of hassle keeping the geese off to start with. But it's always worth it. It's a massive, I suppose, a carp bank is called an inch, but I don't know why people don't do it. I just can't understand it in my head. I'm like, well, why would you do that? You've got barren banks and it collapses. Well, there's millions of trees. This is, you've got to remember, this is all reasonably newly developed. So in years to come, when these grow up, you're going to get canopies. 10 years time, you'll have a canopy here, so these trees will grow over. So you'll have a nice walkway in here, these will be managed, and then plants will keep establishing. You know, it's kind of how it should be, in my opinion. It just makes everything manageable and easier. So this is the other half, this side of the island, on the back of the wind. And like I say, we want to promote other species, especially in these sort of lakes. We love a big perch, love them. There's a good amount in here. Obviously these go back, stunning fish. Not only that, the bream, better roach. And like I keep saying to people, if you want big roach and big bream and quality fish, just put the better ones back, keep thinning these up. You can normally find somewhere to put them. We've got a little pond on site, we just dump them. And like I say, cormorants tend to mop them up, herons, etc. Mainly cormorants. But it gives more space and room for fish. And yes, there's a lot of carp, obviously, because they're popular and they're tough. But when you can put back perch like that, beautiful fish that is, hefty as well. And then we grade back the breams. So yeah, that's what it's all about really. Island like that. Again, on small lakes, if you're going to have an island, if you're digging new lakes, I'd put them in the middle if you're going to have one. I get people say, I like to fish up against it. Difference with that island is that used to have a load of knackered old trees falling in the edges, no plants around it at all. It was weakening the banks, it was getting smaller, the trees were causing loads of damage and they were just falling in, and then they're just full of fishing line. So you go around there, take all that out, and then plant it all up like that. And in my head, for the sort of fishing this is, you know, that's perfect. When you walk around that island, it's concrete underneath. The fish just go round and round and round and round it, as they do around all these margins. But you can safely clip up and fish all around that island. No fear of losing fish, no fear of snags, nothing like that. You get a nice little bit of weed in these lakes in the summer. They're coloured because there's a lot of fish and they're shallow and they're clay, simple as that. But like I say, by doing this and managing your plant life, managing your trees, the fishing improves. Since this owner's been here and the previous one, we've pleaded with them not to buy any fish and they haven't, which is great. And all we do is move fish around and it works really well. And it's that simple if you stick to those basic principles, which work and work and work and work everywhere we're allowed to show off these things, you know. But yeah, to me, that's, if you're going to have an island, you want it like that. Because why wouldn't you? You know, it's safe to fish up. The fish love it around there. You know, it's just why wouldn't they? But you can safely fish all the way around it. You know, a wayward cast, it's only going to go in the reeds, unless some of these people end up casting up here. So I don't know how they do that. But anyway, that's what I'd say is not a bad example of a managed island. Same again, graded, mainly bream and better quality roach. And these fill into the space so quick. You know, you do this every year, you'll be removing the same sort of fish. And again, like every water's different, because people say, oh, we've got a 30-acre lake and we don't find them. Well, no, the cormorants are mulling them most of the time, or they're hiding in reed beds and things like that. They'll be seldom out in open water for very long, maybe at night. But cormorants do fish at night. So yes, it's just a case of just grading the quality back, and that's how you get results, really, instead of buying fish all the time. The fishing improves here every year, and all we do is take fish out, move them around. We never take fish off site. Like I say, there's been problems here in the past with having too many fish. We had to do an on-site burial a couple of years ago and bury a load of not big carp, but sort of pound carp, because there's too many, they'd cage, there's all sorts of problems. But again, that's long gone now. Everything's really improving by putting no fish in, managing the plant life, managing the fish stocks, a bit of supplementary feeding. And in this situation, it works really, really well. And all, like I say, there's not one size fits all with this, but by getting in the water and netting these lakes and having experience to give advice like this, you can sort of say, well, I would do this, I wouldn't do that, and that's kind of what we do every day. So like I say, you just grade out for a little while and you're putting back the quality fish. These will obviously breed again. There's a few nice hybrids in there, mainly bream, some nice roach, and that makes a big difference in smaller lakes. You can grade back the quality fish and just keep grading back. You can't have all the fish all the time and expect them all to be happy, but by doing this, you can. One of the main problems we still encounter is when you go to a venue, and we do a lot of awesome venues and good angling clubs, and a lot of people are kind of understanding now that things are different regarding mainly predation and climate. They're the two things over the past 30 years I've noticed a massive difference in like the volumes of winged and furred predators, and the climate. It used to be a lot colder to do this, more stable kind of temperatures. I know people go, oh, in 1958 anyway, but you're always trying to prepare for the summer. We go to some clubs where they're constantly putting fish in, because if they go to committee meeting and say, what should we spend on, wants it's more fish, because we can't catch fish. And it's so frustrating, because lakes, when you get a free run at places, and I've been lucky enough to do that most of my career, especially at a place like Leamington Lakes in the early days, and here and places like that, and loads of places, Commonwealth Fishery, place like that, when you can sort of go and work with the owners and sort of say, look, this is what a lot of people do, this is a waste of time, it's not really good, it's certainly not good environmentally, it's not good practice to be just constantly buying fish because anglers can't catch them. When you can turn around and they work with you and sort of say, okay, well, let's do it this way then. Especially, like I say, every lake's different, especially lakes this sort of size, 2, 3, 4, 5 acres, they're not hard to manage, but there's a turning point. You get, if you're not willing to actually do the things that are necessary, in my opinion, to have sustainable fishing. It's never about having too many fish and stale environments and no trees and nothing. It's about building it up so that you've got plenty of vegetation, plenty of good habitat, but yeah, quite a lot of fish. But me saying quite a lot of fish is nothing compared to a match fishery or, you know, a lot of club waters where they constantly, we get to places where they spend 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, over 100 grand on fish. They haven't really got that much to show for it a lot of the time. The difference with carp fishing nowadays is a lot of them are fenced, people there all the time, well, sort of infrastructure's there, managed, otter fenced, and you know, it's actually quite easy. It's the easiest type of fisheries to manage, in my opinion, are carp fisheries. You're dealing with less anglers in general, less fish being caught in general, and there's not so much of a demand. There's demand for fishing, but there's no demand for, oh, we need to catch a 30 every day. There's still those sort of anglers, but do you know what I mean? It's like they're catching one fish at a time, so easy to look after. They're not putting them in keep nets. They're still putting them in pens, you know, holding them overnight, which isn't great. Whereas lakes like these, and a number of them, with club waters, with club waters where they're buying fish to put in lakes where they're fishing is not that great. If there's loads of weed or snags or anything, it's as if they think, well, we'll put some more fish in, and they won't go and sit with all the others. They'll just sit out in open water. Well, they don't. They go and hide with all the others. So if your lake isn't fishing well, and your committee continues to put fish in, and it's still not fishing well, there's ways to fix it. And it's not by putting fish in, I can promise you that. You know, there's a few places where we've advised people to stop fish in the last year. Not many, but that it's difficult because anglers just people. Oh, he just wants to make these lakes this and makes it. No, I don't. My job is to go and help people to improve their fishing. That's it. It's real simple. That's it. So when you turn up at a lake and you can identify what's going on, quite often you're like, there's too many in it. Oh, well, the anglers need bites. Yeah, there's too many in it for that. If the oxygen dips, any little sort of knife edge a lot of the time, and you'll get weeks where those lakes fish their nuts off, and then it gets too hot, or it gets too cold, or something happens, or it doesn't rain for 2 or 3 months, whatever, and something tips the balance and they fish crap. And we've seen this time and time and time again. And there's a happy medium to strike, and a sensible and safe way to go about it. That's all we try to do. It doesn't matter what sort of fishery it is. And there's ways and means of achieving that. And it's never really about buying more fish. It's different, like I say, if you've got a 20-acre carp lake to put carp in, yes, people tend to buy fish every year, and if you're losing some for predation, then fine. But club waters in general, they're buying fish, and they should be spending money on other stuff, looking after the water, you know, fixing the boats, doing repairs, safe, making it safe, because the angling clubs are huge that has its own set of problems, but all these things are worth bearing in mind, and the more places that do it, that's why I still love the job after all these years. The more places that do it, they get as excited as I do when you turn up after a year. Like Michael, when we first turned up, he says, oh, Foxes has fished his nuts off this year, and we took a load of fish out last year. I was like, excellent. You kind of know, and that's a tiny little pool, it's like half acre. But we've done it at Hall Walk, so many places, and they're kind of the places where they get as excited as you do, and that kind of keeps you interested, because you get to places and things like, doldrums, oh, it's this, it's that. It's like, well, you're not willing to do what's necessary, and all the stuff I think is necessary half the time doesn't cost much. It's a fraction of buying fish, but you know, there we are. It's just nice when you come to a place like this and things are getting done.